Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Brief Nerdity podcast. I am your host once again. My name is Ryan. Joining me is my good friend Trent.
Hello.
And first time on the podcast is my girlfriend Maggie.
Hi.
How you guys doing today?
Fantastic.
I guess guy and gal, technically.
Yeah, I'm one of the guys that works.
English is bad with gender neutral pronouns. It's fine.
On the Brief Nerdy English edition, we'll be talking about... No. Did you guys have a good week this week?
I actually had a really good week.
Oh, yeah?
And kind of a bad week, but we'll talk about that in some of our stories coming up.
That story made your week that bad? Man.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll talk about it. But other than that, I mean, there's a lot of really good things too.
Good. All right, well, we'll get us started off with the round robin for the week. So we're going to talk about the scariest game we've each ever played. If you guys don't mind, I'll go ahead and go first. And I will say that I've played a lot of scary games. I really enjoy the survival horror genre. I got started back in the old Resident Evil days on PlayStation and have played a lot of survival horror games since. Some might consider this a little bit controversial, but I do think that the game Outlast, I believe it came out in 2013-ish, is the scariest game I've ever played. I think games that are more psychological horrors like Silent Hill and Amnesia don't quite do it for me as a more in-your-face scary like Outlast does. So still haven't played the second one, but I'm very, very excited for it. It's out already, but I just need to find time and the motivation. I kind of have to be in the right mood to play a scary game, but yeah, very, very excited for that. So Trent, why don't you go ahead and kick us off here with yours?
I don't really play a lot of scary games, and so people are probably going to get a really good chuckle out of what I consider to be the scariest game I've ever played. I was trying to go back and forth between either Heavy Rain or Fallout 4.
Well, there's some intense moments in Heavy Rain.
It's true. And there are some terrifying parts of Fallout 4, in my opinion.
What parts?
The first time that I ever got charged by a pack of feral ghouls was pretty terrifying. It was my first Fallout game. I had no idea what to expect, other than a nuke went off. Like that's all I knew about the franchise in general. There's like a mission where you have to drain this water processing facility, and there's mirelurks hiding in the water that you don't know about until you start to drain them, and then they come up out of the water, and it's terrifying. Going to the blast site for the first time, and there's like this giant, creepy looking like monsters walking around. There's those things and more.
I still remember back when we were in college and we were roommates, and you were playing Mass Effect 2, and the moment when you go up on the Derelict Reaper and there's like no one there at first, that you were like super creeped out, and I was making fun of you for it then.
Yes, I get scared really easily. I'll be honest. I consider shows like Supernatural to be scary, so it's like that's kind of my level. Like when I watch movies like The Ring or Signs or things like that, like it affects me for weeks. And I have to go with someone. It has to be during the day because I made the mistake.
Same way, Trent.
I feel better because I went to Signs at night in high school with some friends, and like the movie theater we went to is like across the street from this kind of like farm-ish land where there was lots of corn being grown, and so I like walk outside and look over, and I'm like, they're here.
You're a dork, but that's okay. I still love you.
Yes, I'm a huge dork.
I had the same thing with Signs, except I got home and went to bed, and my dog would sleep in the room with me, and she started snoring, and it sounded like the clicking that the aliens make, and I was just like in bed, like, they're here. Where's the water? Where's the water?
Well, it was even worse for me with The Ring because I had a TV in my room, and sometimes other members of my family would come in the morning and watch morning shows and stuff on my TV if someone else was watching something in the other room that they didn't want to watch. And so like I don't remember who, if it was my brother or my sister, somebody came into the room and turned my TV on, and so I wake up to my TV being on after having just watched The Ring the previous day,
Oh, jeez.
and I'm like, no. It was bad.
So in a way, I'm kind of jealous of both of you. I wish had that kind of reaction to scary movies or scary games, because I have to really get myself like I only allow myself to play scary games like in the dark, and to try to just enhance the scariness for me as much as possible.
No.
You don't want to be scared like that, Ryan.
Probably not.
Someone told me the other day that there's kind of a newish Fallout 4 mod that makes it really scary. Like
I've heard about that.
I think it's called like Pilgrim or something like that. I think maybe we talked about it last week or something. But
Yeah, maybe
a friend of mine told me that I should stream myself playing that show or playing that game with that mod.
That'd be pretty funny.
I think people get a really good kick out of it.
All right, well, Maggie, what about you? What's the scariest game you have ever played?
It's from a long time ago. It's called Phantasmagoria. It's made,
Phantasmagoria.
yeah, it's made by the woman who made King's Quest. And my dad got it, and my siblings were playing it, and I was too young to play, but I was just watching. And it has some murder scenes. Like, it was actors. They filmed actors. It's pretty grainy, awful graphics, but it's actual actors. And the murder scenes just terrified me, to the point where I would have nightmares, and my siblings would start playing the game, and the music would just make me break down and cry. And my parents finally had to be like, okay, you can't play when Maggie's around because it's just too scary. So when I was a teenager, I was like, I'm going to conquer this game. I'm going to get over my fear. And I started playing it, and just hearing the music just brought back all those just awful nightmares and awful scenes. And it was funny because my niece actually ended up watching me play, and same thing happened. She started having nightmares. She would cry. So I never actually finished the game. But yeah, that was a terrifying one.
I remember you showing me that. Was it our second date?
Yeah, our second date. So I was telling Ryan the story because, break the ice a little bit by giving embarrassing stories and stuff. But so I was telling him about scary games, and he showed me the Outlast trailer too, which was terrifying. And then he goes, okay, I have a game you have to play. And he pulled up Slender Man. So he's having me play Slender Man in the dark on our second date. And, I got a couple jump scares with it. And then driving home that night, it's late at night, driving home, and all of a sudden, like, I don't know if it was a dog or something just fast across the street behind my car.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just saw like a little like whoosh of something going past my rearview mirror, and I was just like, I have to get home. I have to get home. I'm like, Ryan, why did you do this to me?
Best boyfriend ever.
I guess it worked. Yeah.
It's actually one of the reasons that I haven't seen Stranger Things yet, is because a lot of people tell me it's not scary, but I mean, it looks scary. I mean, my kind of scary anyway.
You must watch it. It's so good.
I keep thinking, like, the only time I think to watch it is when it's like 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and I'm, like down here in this like basement apartment with like the furnace making weird noises all the time anyway, and I'm just like,
It definitely has some scary themes in it, but Maggie, I mean, since you're obviously a chicken like him, how scary would you say it is?
Hey, it wasn't really scary. I mean, there were some tense moments for sure, but yeah, nothing that like gave me nightmares or anything.
Okay.
It's so good. Seriously though.
It's on my list. I'm working through some stuff.
Working through some stuff.
That's right. all of my issues. It's working right through them.
Yep. So we've talked before in the past about the Nintendo Switch and its online services, what it was going to be, what it wasn't going to be, and things like that. And this week we finally got some answers, some being the key word there. Most notably the price. So for those of you who haven't heard, they've announced that it's going to be $20 a year for their yearly subscription. You're going to be able to play online games through with that. And then they're also going to have a Netflix-ish type service for NES games, but not quite to the extent as you'd think. They will release a couple of them. And they'll have online connectivity. They'll change the ROMs somehow and put some online play in those NES games, which I think is pretty cool. What do you think, Trent?
I think it looks really good. I think the price is good. I think the $20 is really affordable. I like the voice chat feature that it's saying that it's going to have, rather than that. Well, it does say like the smart device app.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You like the voice chat thing, which requires you to have an app and
I mean,
chat all through the app versus an actual chat on the console.
I don't like. Well, I don't know. I use Discord on my phone sometimes to chat with friends if my computer's being weird, or um, it's better than not having one, which is the
It's
state
true.
it's in right now. I wish they would do it just through the Switch, because obviously, but we'll see how it works.
It'll be interesting to hear TJ's take on this.
Yeah, I have to ask him about it sometime.
Our resident Nintendo fan, TJ. So, but I'm happy with the pricing, because when they first announced, just my brain immediately went to the $60 a year price tag that Xbox Live and PlayStation Plus has. At that which point I was like, nope, definitely not. But yeah, $20 is a good price point. I could see myself easily dropping that for a year, even if I don't use it that much. Whereas I really have a hard time justifying paying for Xbox Live and PlayStation Plus nowadays. So if they make it so I could play NES games online with my friends, all the better. So look forward to seeing what that's about. That kind of does it for the Nintendo. A movie came out this weekend, guy and gal.
Yay!
Gal.
Hey, it fits.
That's right. One of the best movies ever came out this weekend.
It was so freaking good. If you don't know by now, we are, of course, talking about DC's Wonder Woman.
Yay!
So just a heads up here that we're going to have a short spoiler-free discussion here for just a few minutes, but stay tuned for the end of the podcast, because we'll do a full-fledged spoiler cast for Wonder Woman. So we'll give you a free warning before we start that. But for now, just some cool Wonder Woman stuff, such as like how great it was.
It was awesome.
I was
As
so
our
happy. Sorry,
as a resident woman, you liked it?
I did. As your resident Wonder Woman, I liked it a lot.
Good.
Are you apparently Wonder Woman cosplay now?
That's actually halfway through the movie. I leaned over to Ryan. I was like, I want that costume now.
Right?
And then I spent like a minute like, okay, I would need a lot of Warbler and some metallic paint, and it'd be awesome.
You already have cosplayed as Wonder Woman to Comic-Con already, though.
Yeah, but not that awesome. It was okay, but not like that.
You were a comic book Wonder Woman, where you had the classic Wonder Woman costume, but you used bold black lines. Like, I think you used tape on some portions of it, and then did your makeup like around your jawline to where you look like you were animated, comic drawn version of Wonder Woman.
I did. Cool. Good old duct tape came in handy.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And I went the Lazy Man cosplayer to go with you as Clark Kent Superman, just wearing dress clothes with a Superman t-shirt underneath. So
it's like the best, easiest cosplay
pretty much
ever.
But apparently we weren't the only people who liked it, because it scored $103 million in the box office domestically this weekend. So
yep, and it broke a bunch of records. Let's see. I know that it is the highest opening weekend for a female-directed movie, I think, ever.
Which is actually a pretty big deal, because the Twilight movies were directed by females, I believe.
Yes, and the 50 Shades of Grey, which, I mean, wasn't like huge box office necessarily, but it was one of the stronger contenders in that field up to this point.
Well, I know the 50 Shades movies didn't do great overall at the box office, but I believe both of them's opening weekend were pretty relatively huge, and so the fact that Wonder Woman could still beat them opening weekend is a big achievement.
Yeah, here
not only that, but she beat Iron Man too.
She did.
Yeah.
There's actually, I don't remember if it was this article that I linked that I was looking at, but I think it, among the first, like not counting sequels for superhero movies, I think it placed 6th. for opening weekends,
Wow.
which is pretty great.
Yeah.
So,
So
I'm
good for everybody involved in this. I mean, good
Yeah.
for Gal Gadot, good for Patty Jenkins, the director, good for DC for finally getting one of their properties, to be shown well in the
Positively
box
reviewed.
office. There you go. That's the word I was looking for. Just goodness all around. Happy for everybody involved. So hope.
Yeah, and Patty Jenkins has already been signed to a sequel, which
Yep.
was kind of a no-brainer once the reviews and the box office numbers came out.
They've already said it's going to be contemporary place, so it's going to be modern day instead of a historic.
Yeah, which I'm happy about because
Me too.
I don't think there's really a good way to have done it any other way, because we're gonna see her at her kind of current power level in Justice League, and it would be weird to have her jump backwards with that, I think, anyway.
And not to do the Marvel comparison, but with Captain America, we had the World War II movie, and then he hopped in with Avengers, and then got his sequel that took place in modern day times.
Right.
So it's
And Winter Soldiers is one of my favorite Marvel standalone films.
exactly.
So I have high hopes for the next Wonder Woman movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so excited. Okay. Any other spoiler-free stuff we want to talk about on this one?
I think the only thing spoiler free would be my only complaint with the film that's rather spoiler free is that there were too many slow mo shots. It seemed like every fight scene they had to do slow mo like almost every 5 to 10 seconds. And there were several shots to where it was warranted and very, very, very cool. Like this one moment, someone shoots an arrow or 3 arrows at one time. And it's a very cool slow mo shot. But the other ones are just like, I'm doing a side flip. Whee! Slow mo flip.
It's showing the power of the Amazons. Come on, Ryan.
It'd be like flip, slow mo, and then punch, and then jump, slow mo. It's like, okay,
I actually heard an explanation for this. So it's a possible explanation, and the reason, I think one of the first slow mo shots, if not the first one in the movie, because I can't remember, is shown in the preview where she like looks and sees the bullet going past, and the way that this guy defended it is that it's showcasing Wonder Woman's reaction speed, and the fact that the reason that she can deflect bullets is because this is the level at which she's processing the fight. And so like we're seeing it through her eyes. I don't know how real or if that's just a reach, but that's what he was saying.
Well, I can see that as easy justification, but I think one or two of those watching the bullet scenes would have been noted, and then I think it would have been much more effective to have her going at full speed for most of the fight, just to get that intensity and to point to a lesser DC movie, but in Batman v Superman, one of the highlights of that movie outside of Wonder Woman's appearance was Batman's fight in that warehouse when he's saving Superman's mother.
It's true.
It's just it's just him going all out on all those guys there, and there's no slow mo that I can remember there, and so the intensity of a scene like that done, I thought, would have been much more effective than the overuse of slow mo.
I agree. I think it probably had more than it needed.
It's a tiny nitpick to a fantastic film. So if any of you are thinking of on the fence about seeing it, go see it. It is very, very worth it.
But I give it like a 9 or 9.5 out of 10. Like you should absolutely go see this movie.
Another thing I would mention is that a lot of people's biggest complaint with the movie seems to be just the third act of the movie, which I totally don't understand at all. I mean, I've seen that as a common complaint, but I think it's one of the best parts of the movie. So we'll probably go into that in more depth during the spoiler cast, because I really don't understand it, but we'll talk about that. So, but yeah, Wonder Woman, good movie. Another movie I hope is going to be a good movie is a trailer that came out this week for Murder on Orient Express. Are either of you familiar with this movie outside this trailer or the property it's based off of?
Nope.
Neither am I. Ta-da! Well, what do you guys think of the trailer?
Or have you heard of it, Maggie?
No, but I was looking into it, and it's a novel by Agatha Christie, and I've heard that name before. I haven't read the novel at all, but that name sounded familiar.
Oh, she's like a famous murder mystery novelist, right? Like she wrote 10 Little Indians and What else has she written?
And
Yeah,
Murder on the Orient Express.
yeah, that one. Definitely that one. Yeah, I haven't read any of her books, but I've seen the 10 Little Indians as a play, and then I've seen one more that I can't remember the name of now, also as a play, and they're really really fun. And I think her style is very much like kind of and you can see this from the trailer. Like there's a big cast of people, and you learn about them, and I'm assuming they're probably going to get murdered one by one. At least that's what happens in 10 Little Indians. Spoilers. So yeah, I think it looks cool.
It's very Clue-esque.
Yes.
Yeah, like watching it, I was like, "Ooh, it's another Clue."
And that guy's mustache.
That mustache, though.
That mustache.
I gotta admit, like I was really loving the trailer, and like I saw the mustache on like the little, like I forget what they call those.
Thumbnail.
Yeah, the thumbnail. But it wasn't as big as when I was watching it, and then like all of a sudden like just zooms out. It's just him like staring into the camera, like focusing on his face, and his mustache is huge.
Yep.
And honestly, it brought me out of the trailer a little bit because I'm just like, that's just ridiculous. Like, how do you eat with that thing?
Very carefully.
You just have leftovers.
Oh,
Just use an emergency induction port.
like my beard and mustache are not very big, but I mean, they get enough in the way that I'm annoyed by them sometimes. Just imagine the amount of. Anyway, sorry, too much mustache talk. But
Daisy Ridley.
Yeah, so the
Sweet
cast
Daisy
looks
Ridley.
incredible.
Yep.
I was so blown away by how many like big name actors they have in this movie. I don't suppose any of you guys have a cast list on hand.
Maggie does.
I wrote a couple down. So Johnny Depp, Daisy Ridley, we love her. Penelope Cruz, Michelle Pfeiffer, Judi Dench, Josh Gad, William Dafoe. Like it's crazy star-studded.
Nice. Apparently, this was also a 1974. Like this is a remake of a 1974 movie
with Sean Connery.
With Sean Connery.
Oh, I totally didn't know that.
Apparently, I now have to go see.
But then you'll spoil whodunit.
That's true. Maybe I'll watch it after the new one.
That's what I was thinking.
That was my plan as well.
Glad we're all on the same page there.
Nice.
But yeah, looks great. Very, very excited for it. Good cast. So look forward to seeing more of this movie. And the late fall / winter movie season's looking to starting to get a little stacked. We got that and Thor and of course Star Wars.
Yes.
Daisy Ridley's going to have 2 movies in theaters at the same time.
I wonder which one will perform better. Jokes.
I don't know. That Star Wars bubble is about to burst, right?
Oh yeah,
They can't sustain a yearly movie model.
Whatever. If the superhero movie bubble hasn't burst, the Star Wars bubble is not bursting anytime soon.
It will never burst.
I don't want to say that, but
I was thinking the other day, I'm gonna be really sad because I know that I'm gonna die before like a Star Wars movie I want to see comes out.
Well, that's a terrible thought. Thanks for that.
What the hell? Just at some point in my life, and be like, "Oh, Star Wars Episode 32 is coming out. It's the end of the 8th trilogy."
Way to take that to a dark place, Ryan.
Like I said with the horror games, I like dark places.
It wouldn't be the 8th trilogy, would it?
Number 32, maybe something like that. I can math. No, it wouldn't be. But
that's math.
Ken has math.
At that point, Daisy Ridley's granddaughter is the new Jedi.
Yeah.
Whatever.
No, the Jedi are no more.
That's true. The Jedi are no more. So
these are the last Jedi. It says so in the title.
Nah.
Yeah. I want to have a night if we ever have a week that's light on news. I want to have a discussion about this whole gray Jedi theory and how much it's been bugging me lately.
Oh, I will destroy you with that talk, sir.
I bet.
I am 100% up to date on canon. I know everything.
Don't care. It's still stupid.
You know, it's not stupid. Godzilla versus King Kong.
No, definitely not stupid at all.
Nice
It's gonna be
segue.
so good. I'm
It's
so
gonna be
good with the
terrible.
segue. No, it's not. It's gonna
It-
be amazing.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna mark this date. It is June 5th. Trent said Godzilla versus Kong is terrible, and Ryan said it is awesome. So we will see. We will see who
Okay.
wins.
It may be a fun, entertaining movie, but I don't like that it's being made.
Why not?
I think it's stupid.
I think it
Like,
makes much more sense than like the Universal monster movie universe that they're doing.
I like that. I'm excited about that one.
Godzilla versus King Kong have a history of cinema and being against each other or teaming up with each other and stuff.
Right, which is something we should leave in the past.
Nah.
Imagine like Frankenstein's monster fighting the mummy chick, and like Dracula shows up and wastes them all. It'll be like the evil version of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
I have to be convinced by the Mummy and maybe one more movie first to get
Sure.
excited, invested into that happening.
What is the next one after the mummy? Do you know? Have they said?
I do not know. I know Creature from the Black Lagoon is on the short list,
Huh. That's interesting.
but have you seen the new Kong yet, Trent?
I have not. I've heard a lot of good things about it. I've been on the ride at Universal Studios.
The
That
ride
was
was very
the
meh.
old Kong, though. That's not
was-
the newest Kong.
Well, it had the redone Kong stuff.
It had the
was
Peter Jackson.
Yeah, it was Peter Jackson Kong.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, like 2005 Kong.
Oh, well. All I know is I got sprayed by the bugs getting torn apart by King Kong, and it was disgusting. And I had to turn my head to the side the whole time because they crammed us in the front of the bus.
Yeah, we couldn't see anything.
And the ride was to the side of you the whole time. That was fun.
Yeah, but the new Kong movie, The Skull Island, was the biggest surprise, pleasant surprise for me. When I saw it earlier this year, I went in with mediocre expectations, but I ended up like really, really enjoying it. That being said, I'm still on Godzilla's team. # Team Godzilla.
I might be on Kong's side, Ryan.
I know
just to go against you.
I think I actually am legitimately on Kong's side because I think Godzilla is kind of a silly monster with his like laser vision and
it's
atomic breath.
It's atomic breath, not laser vision. God.
Whatever. It's still stupid. He's a giant lizard. Can't that be enough? Like he can't go like ripping buildings apart and like swinging his tail around.
No, it's all in Godzilla's history. The original Godzilla
gotta
movie
have
was
atomic
an
breath.
anti-nuclear weapons movie, and the whole point of it was that nuclear weapons caused his creation, and Godzilla was destroying the cities and destroying humanity for creating nuclear weapons because it was made in Japan shortly after we all know what happened over there. So,
Oh yeah, that puts a little more context.
yeah, so that's why he has to have his nuclear powers, so to speak.
Okay, well the modern one doesn't.
They tried that in the 1998 Godzilla movie, and we know how that turned out.
Well, there are other reasons why that movie was terrible.
The raptor Godzilla.
Matthew Broderick running around.
Yeah,
More part of the horribleness of that movie.
that's a lot of fish. But
one cool thing I did learn is that the next Godzilla movie, King of Monsters, is going to have 11 from Stranger Things in it.
he doesn't know who 11 is yet, but I'm excited about that.
Watch Stranger Things, Trent, and then you'll know she's awesome.
Okay. Watch Stranger Things. Hi.
But the reason we're bringing up Godzilla vs. Kong, since it was already kind of known it was happening, is that this week they finally signed up a director, Adam Wingard. I looked him up. I don't think I've seen anything that he's seen. Most people seem to be generally mixed, saying he's made some good movies, or he's made a couple really good movies, but then a handful of craptacular movies. So people aren't sure.
What are some of the movies that he's made?
I don't know off the top of my head. Let me see.
Guest, A Horrible Way to Die.
There you go.
The ABCs of Death. Oh, he did the Blair Witch reboot.
Yep, that's the one that people were making fun of him about.
I guess he's lucky that the media kind of just like didn't notice that one, and it didn't really get trounced as bad as some other movies that flopped this year.
Apparently, though, Guest is a really, really good movie, though. I haven't seen it, but
that's cool. I mean, I don't know. There's plenty of people that have failed upwards in Hollywood and ended up doing really good. Gareth Edwards didn't have a lot of really good showings before Rogue One, and that turned out to
except Godzilla.
He won't let it go, Trent.
Apparently not. Godzilla!
Had to do it.
Godzilla! Anyway,
I was looking at some of the writers
Stop being
for Kong versus Godzilla, and there's writers from like Pirates of the Caribbean and Star Trek Beyond, Maze Runner, Babylon 5. So there's a lot of good writers on the staff, I guess.
yeah, possibly. Which Pirates of the Caribbean movies do we know?
That's a very important question to ask there.
Because if it's like
yeah.
4 or 5, then like I like the first 3.
I only like the first one. Super hipster.
Yeah, you are a hipster.
Not as much as some of our other guests. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Nonsense. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't mind, and I'll probably go see it because it's a thing to go see, and I like popcorn movies that don't really make you think too hard.
They're gonna put that on the poster. It's a thing to see. Trent Manson.
I don't mind it, I guess. Quote.
I'll be excited for it. That'll be an opening weekend for me.
There you go. You can tell me all about it.
I'm a sucker for monster movies. What could I say?
I'll get dragged along, I'm sure.
No, the doy. I don't know. I didn't go see Aliens because you didn't want to see it, so I'm waiting for that to come on video.
No, look at you.
You don't like the Alien franchise?
I've actually never seen them. The only one I saw was Prometheus, and it was not good.
And I was like, hey, let's watch Alien 1 and 2 because those are actually good. And she's like, nah.
Yeah, I made Ben watch the first 2 with me because he hadn't seen them and he wanted to before Prometheus came out. And it was fun to watch them. I really like number 1 especially. And number 2 is also really iconic. 3's kind of eh. It's not awful. But yeah, you should definitely at least see number 1 because it's brilliant.
You like 1 better than 2? That's okay if you do. I mean, just most people prefer 2, but I mean, one's still great too.
They're really different. 1 is much more horror than action, and 2 flips it a little bit. 2 is more action than horror. You're not nearly as scared in the second one, although there are still scary moments. But
they mostly come out at night. Mostly.
Game over, man. Game over.
Such a quotable movie. Get away from her, you. Nah, censored.
Yeah. I mean, that moment alone makes me want to say that number 2 is my favorite, but I think overall the first movie is better.
Just Ripley is such a good action movie hero star.
Yes, very much so. So speaking of the Mummy and things like that, Brendan Fraser still exists.
He exists. He's alive.
Hooray!
Oh, you guys want to talk about his new series?
Yeah, apparently he's been cast in a new FX series called Trust. Looks like it's going to be a pretty star-studded cast. We'll have him, Donald Sutherland, Hilary Swank. It says, Trust tells the story of John Paul Getty III, heir to the Getty oil fortune, and is set in 1973 when the young Getty is kidnapped in Rome and his mafia captors are banking on a multi-million-dollar ransom. The series describes being equal parts family history, dynastic saga, and examination of the corrosive power of money. So he's going to be a hoot in it.
A hoot?
They describe him as eccentric Texan. So we'll see how that goes.
So I'm assuming he's not playing the young one that's kidnapped then.
He's not young anymore.
So. No, he's like a private eye or something like that.
Because Brendan Fraser old now. I don't know if anybody missed that memo, but he's super old.
Well, especially I'm sure it's gonna be jarring.
He is super old.
He's still got it. He's still got it.
Still got it, but I'm sure, like, because we haven't seen him in so long, and he is literally going to be 50.
I would definitely kick him out of bed.
Sad.
He turns 49 this year, so.
Like, who are you?
And we haven't seen him in like 10 years.
Although I would love to hang out with him and like have a beer with him. I think that he would just be a really cool person to talk to and hang out with, but I do not find him attractive anymore.
I like the on IMDb where it has like their top 4 movies that it shows the posters for. It's the 3 Mummy movies and Bedazzled.
Yes, Bedazzled.
He's also awesome in Encino Man.
Well, yeah, that
Encino
was
Man,
his.
yep.
That was like his first movie, right?
I
One of
think
them,
so.
yeah.
I
His
love
first
that one.
big movie, anyway. Yeah. I don't
So,
acknowledge that the third Mummy movie exists because they recast Rachel Weisz, and that's like the unpardonable sin in my mind.
Yeah, you can't have it without the real Evie.
Right? Like, just have her not be in the movie if she can't do it. Like, she's at home in a museum running and knocking over bookshelves. Let
I am a librarian.
let Rick and his son have a movie if she can't be in it. Like, recasting her made me so mad.
I never
I-
even saw the third one,
I
even though
actually-
I loved both the first 2.
I'm of the opinion that that decision is actually what killed the Mummy franchise. The Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz Mummy franchise was
Yeah, I can see it.
recasting her, and then it bombed.
I'll allow it. I'll allow it. So what really happened to Brendan Fraser? I'm looking through his IMDb
no idea.
page. I'm not really recognizing anything he's been on lately. He looks like he's a voice of a character in Fairly Odd Parents sometimes, but yeah, The Mummy looks like the latest big movie or big thing he's been in since then. And the third Mummy movie was back in 2008, so nearly 10 years.
Yeah.
So what has he been doing? We miss him.
I mean,
I miss him.
he's okay.
I also miss him.
I don't get me wrong. I will go and watch the Mummy movies anytime. The first 2, literally. If anyone ever suggests those as a movie to watch, I'm like, yep, we're good. Let's watch it. I love those 2 movies so much. But
Well, I'd heard rumors that around the time of the Looney Tunes movie, he got a divorce and he was forced to pay alimony to his now ex-wife. But that was like at the height of his career, so the alimony was based off of what he was making at that time.
oh,
It's really kind of just killed him financially because he's still paying or owes that alimony. But after that, his career kind of went down the tube. So he's had a lot of struggles. I don't remember where I got the information. It might not even be true, but I think I read that somewhere. So,
brief nerdity, folks.
The
The
rumor mill.
top-ranked journalists here. The journalistic integrity of I read it somewhere. I think
you'll see us on your grocery checkout aisle.
that's right, next to the alien sightings and
Yep.
the truth that Hillary Clinton is actually a lizard woman.
Well, the doy.
Woman.
Did you see your reaction to those fireworks? No human would act that way.
I know, right? She was so like. Never mind. We should change subject.
To kind of bring it back in, I'm actually kind of excited to see him in a drama because he's always playing the goofy character. That will be interesting to see him in a drama. See if he's like the John Lithgow of Dexter, where he's always this goofy character, and then all of a sudden he has a serious role that just like takes your breath away. Or Bryan Cranston, in Breaking Bad, like this guy you see as a goofball all of a sudden has a role in a drama and just nails it. So I'm excited for that part.
Yeah, we mentioned that in the Breaking Bad podcast, that one of the creators of Breaking Bad's tricks, or I guess secrets, is that he hires comedians in dramatic roles because I guess it's known among the industry that drama is easy and comedy is hard. So an actor that has already quote unquote mastered the art of comedy could just bring drama to a whole nother level. So that's one reason why the acting and it's such high quality in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul that maybe this will be Brendan Fraser's turn to where we'll take a comedian into a good dramatic role and maybe he'll knock it out of the park. So
I hope so.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of that Jim Carrey movie where he loses his memory and is in that town with all the war heroes. And
Oh no, not that one. I was gonna say the Truman Show. But that's not it.
Eternal Sunshine.
Is that what that? I thought Eternal Sunshine was the guy from the Gladiator movies that was crazy.
No, that's something else. But Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is a Jim Carrey one.
That's what I'm thinking of, but yes.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, it's a really good movie. It has a lot to do with like the Cold War, communist witch hunt that happened in America.
Yeah, it's definitely not that movie. But Jim Carrey also loses his memory in Eternal Sunshine. So.
Nice.
I think in Eternal Sunshine he does it to forget a girl, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just heard you say, lose his memory, so and I immediately went to that one, but it's totally not that movie. Don't go watching Eternal Sunshine and expecting Cold War drama.
That's right. But yeah, so I can see that. There's a lot of good comedians that make that transition really well. So I think that's pretty cool, and I hope Brendan Fraser's new series does really well. I don't know if I'm going to watch it, but
I probably won't either, but I'll be keeping my eye on it for critical reception, and then basing my judgment off that, because that's the kind of person I am. So
I don't think I'm watching any FX shows right now.
I only watch the comedies, and they all moved over to the comedy sister network FXX. So I technically don't either anymore.
Do they have an adult sister FXXX?
They should. They're just so dumb when they split FX into FX and FXX, because they put all the comedies on one and all the dramas on one. I think the only drama I watched at the time was the scary one. What's that one?
The scary one.
American Horror Story.
Oh, that's on FX?
Yeah.
Huh.
So, but I don't watch that anymore. So,
anywho, is that the one Legion's on?
Yes.
Okay. I almost watched that one.
Almost. People say it's really good too, so it's on my list of someday. Another show that has kind of been in the news lately is Arrested Development. Have either of you watched Arrested Development?
Yep.
No.
Nope. Okay.
Trent, you're missing out.
She's calling you out, Trent.
I know. Don't worry. There's lots of things that I have not seen.
Untrue. You see everything.
Call me out for.
But for those who don't know, Arrested Development was a very popular show that was on Fox for its first 3 seasons. It was very popular with the fans, but not with viewers in general, because it was very close to cancellation for many of its seasons and eventually was canceled. It was one of those shows that was shopped around to like places like Showtime and HBO or even other networks at the time to hopefully get a revival. And this is in the early mid 2000s, I believe. Unfortunately, it just didn't happen. The show got canceled. And then one of the very first revivals that Netflix ever did, if not the first, was a season 4 of Arrested Development, which was exciting for everybody. But the catch was that it's a big cast, a big ensemble cast, and all of them were busy and tied up with other commitments. And so the way they did the show is that they only filmed maybe like 3 or 4 scenes, literal scenes throughout the whole season with everybody like together, like in the same room doing something. And then the rest of it was just like they dedicated a single episode to a single character. And so it was very confusing because each episode was a single contained story about a single character, but all of the episodes kind of fit in the same time frame. So another character would pop in and then pop out again, and then later down the line you'd see their episode and see their paths cross again and see it from the other perspective. And so it was kind of an interesting take, and especially I give them props for being able to do it around everyone's schedules, but it just made for a season that just was not nearly as good as the original show. People have even recut it and re-uploaded it online to like where it's all in chronological order and it makes somewhat sense because it just doesn't when you watch it normally. So that being said, they've said with the new season that it's going to be structured like the original show was, to where they're waiting to film it to when everyone is more available and they could have a good old-fashioned season of Arrested Development versus the new style. I just felt like I just talked for a long time. So what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, and that's like the original, that was part of the magic, was the way they played, like those characters played off each other, because they're a family and they act like this just dysfunctional, awful, crazy, awkward family. And you have a character like Tobias, who's just kind of the side character, but he's just so unbelievably awkward. And to have an episode just dedicated to him just didn't work. Like, it worked when he would like come in every now and then and do his little awkward thing and then be on his way. But like, when they rebooted it and it would have just like a Tobias episode, it was just, you're just sitting there like, I cannot handle the awkward anymore. Like, it's just too much. So they kind of lost that magic when they rebooted it because they couldn't be all together. So it'll be exciting to see them all together again. The other thing that will be interesting is, Michael Cera's in it, and he was a lot younger. He was kind of, the lovable scamp like he is in Juno and Scott Pilgrim. But now he's kind of older and gotten a little weird. And like the last thing I saw him in was This Is the End. And I was just like, this is not George Michael from Arrested Development. He's kind of awkward and weird now. So it'll be interesting to see the characters grown, like those younger characters grown up and how they are now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's on the list of shows Ryan wants me to watch. But I have a hard time getting into comedies. I feel like a lot of comedies rely too much on awkward comedy, and awkward comedy makes me really uncomfortable. I don't know if Arrested Development does that or not, but a lot of comedies I've tried to get
awkward
into,
comedy, yeah.
yeah, a lot of comedies that I've tried to get into makes uses very awkward stuff. I don't know. The only one I watch regularly right now is Modern Family.
Community, probably the biggest comedy I want you to see, is not like that.
That's
Community good. Is awesome. So is Modern Family.
Community has the D&D episode that everyone raves about, right?
Yes. Okay. You will die with happiness with that episode.
Okay. I'm excited for that one.
Yep. Speaking of other shows making a comeback, rumor has it that Animaniacs is coming back.
Rumor has it.
Yep. So Animaniacs was a very, very popular cartoon in the early 90s to late 90s. Starred the Warner Brothers and the Warner sister Dot, and they ran around the Warner movie lot. Had to do it. But yeah, it was a show I really, really loved as a kid. And for anyone who's been to any kind of con the past few years, the Animaniacs cast loves to go to cons and loves to meet people there. And they're even doing an Animaniacs live show nowadays where they tour around the country singing some of the songs from the show, some of the more popular songs.
With an orchestra.
Yeah. So it's kind of been making a comeback lately, and so the fact that the rumor has it that Steven Spielberg is bringing the show back is really, really cool. They haven't announced if it's officially coming back or if it will even star the original cast, because there's kind of a trend with old cartoons being rebooted or coming back and not having the original cast, which seems silly. The new Powerpuff Girls is an example of that. The original Powerpuff Girls had very prominent voice actresses playing the characters who are still voice acting today, but for some reason when the new show came on, none of the voice actors were asked to return. Same thing with the DuckTales reboot that's coming up. I mean, literally just like 2 years ago, I mean, I know the gentleman who played Scrooge McDuck recently passed away, but when they remade the DuckTales remastered video game, they had the entire cast come back to play their characters for that video game. And then here they are announcing a new DuckTales reboot, and they have like David Tennant playing characters and stuff like that. So like, well, why not just get the original cast of voice actors? But
yeah, I gotta admit, if they have the original cast come back, especially like the main three, and then some of the more well-known ones like Pinky and the Brain, I'm in. I'm all in.
Yep.
If they don't, I'm going to be very hesitant to want to even give it a try.
I feel the same way.
Another
Maggie?
thing is that animation. Like I've noticed when they reboot those old cartoons, like DuckTales, for example, like they try to do new hip animation, and just the nostalgia in me is like, no, that's so wrong. So like if they do it, I hope they keep that same animation style. And yeah, it just wouldn't be the same without Rob, Jess, and Tress. I think they have such a good relationship, and they always talk about how much fun they had on that show and that they were just the best of friends. And so I think not having them would kind of take away some of that spark.
Yeah. I was amazed the day when this rumor came out. I actually went on YouTube and watched just a ton of clips just for the fun of it, just for nostalgia's sake. And it's so good. Like the humor stands up today. Like some of the references don't land as easily, but it was crazy to me like how adult the humor was.
Also. I know, right? Like the fingerprints.
Yeah. That's the most probably well-known one. But like even like some of the stuff like hidden in Pinky and the Brain and things like that, and like oh man, it's so good. Like I would watch it if it was on right now, but
I think my favorite is an English teacher goes to Yakko and is like, Yakko, can you conjugate? And he's like, me? I've never even kissed a girl.
Good
So,
old Yakko.
yep.
yeah. Then they had the little shorts between their little mini episodes.
Yeah.
Do you remember the good idea, bad idea
Yep.
stuff? Love that. So good.
Slappy the squirrel.
The wheel of morality.
Yes, I love Slappy the squirrel. See, they need to
Mindy and
bring
Pinky.
all these people back. All of, especially Pinky and the Brain. The Pinky and the Brain episode where like Brain becomes like a sorcerer or something like a kind of evil wizard thing is one of the best. Like I love that episode. I
Mhm.
remember like almost all of it.
Fun fact, the voice actor who does Yakko also does Pinky.
Really?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Rob Paulson.
Yeah, they need to bring those guys back. All of them.
If you have a chance to see them at a local con, I highly suggest going. They usually do a show of some kind. It's called Twisted Tunes, to where all the voice actors that are currently at the con um, get together and they basically read a script of another movie, but they play their characters that they voice. Like for example, the latest one we went to, they did Beauty and the Beast, and you have like Yakko as the Beast for this section of the movie script. And,
Or Winnie the Pooh as Darth Vader.
yeah, so they do it at tons of cons. I've seen it several times here in Salt Lake, and I see YouTube videos of them doing it at other cons too. So it's a very popular thing they do. So if you ever have an opportunity, I definitely recommend going and seeing that. It's very, very fun.
And they're some of the nicest people you'll ever meet. Like they even say, you don't have to pay to come meet me. Just come up and say hi. And they love meeting people, and they like try to make you feel good. You walk up to the guy who plays Yakko and he immediately goes, "Hello, nurse," and just they live to put a smile on your face, and they're very personable and just chat with you. And it was so cool to meet them.
Very genuine too.
That seems really cool. Those kind of people are the best people.
Definitely. So let's see, kind of moving on. Netflix has kind of been in the news a lot lately. They've been dropping a ton of shows on everyone all at once. Shows like a new season of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt and House of Cards, and I believe Orange is the New Black is out like within a week or so. But there's been some stuff going on. Oh, what did you say, Trent?
Well, I was even like Sense8 season 2 was really recent.
Yep. But Netflix CEO has some stuff to say, and he basically came out and said, "Hey, we're going to start canceling a bunch of stuff." So
Netflix CEO can go die in a fire.
Trent is very, very upset because
wow, Trent.
I'm so like I don't like their model. I think it's stupid. I think it doesn't make any sense. It's more than just the fact that they canceled one of the best shows in existence right now. Like, it makes me so mad.
So yeah, they did cancel the Sense8. So it's one of the first cancellations they've ever done, at least that we're aware of. What?
The Sense8.
The Sense8.
They actually, I think the first one was actually the Get Down was canceled.
Right.
And then Sense8 came soon after. I just reading the interview from the CEO, and then like the statement that Netflix put out when they canceled Sense8, it didn't make any sense because they just talked about how amazing and kick-ass a show it was, and like how groundbreaking and diverse and all this stuff. And I'm like, then why are you canceling it? Like, I have so many words and thoughts. I don't want to dominate this topic though.
Well, I mean, you kind of mentioned before that Netflix hasn't released their viewer ratings, so we have no idea why they canceled the show. I mean, in the end, I'm doing air quotes, I trust the internal reporting people, to kind of report on Sense8's viewership, and in the end, they want their shows to increase memberships. And so if whatever methods they're using to measure, a show's viewings to how that adds Netflix memberships, maybe it's just Sense8 just isn't doing it, because I imagine they wouldn't cancel it if it was a positive at all, so to speak.
Well, that's the thing
So
that's so weird because like I have seen so much buzz since the release of season 2 about how much it improved and how like people that I would never even imagine would give it a try are like raving about it on my Facebook feed. Um, and like I see people talking about it everywhere. And obviously, I mean, I'm just one person with, maybe my group of friends is very unique or something. But there's a change.org petition to either renew it or like maybe greenlight a movie, kind of like Firefly style, to end it.
yeah,
And it got over 250,000 signatures in 24 hours.
wow,
Yeah, and so it's and there are and like the uh, the change.org petition is in Spanish, French, Portuguese, Dutch, Russian, Italian, and Dutch. Did I say Dutch already? Netherlands, something. Anyway, and like a bunch of I can't recognize the other languages because they're not in the same script.
yeah,
And it's incredible to me that the worldwide fandom that this show has because of the way the show is written and designed. And like I compare the show to Star Trek, not only because it also was canceled early, but in the fact that like it presents a humanity that is unifiable and that has the potential of bringing every kind of person together. Like one of the beautiful things about Sense8 is you have these people from literally all across the world that have almost nothing in common, and like seeing them come together uh, because of like the premise of the show is just really cool, and like just the idea of it is so unique, and to know that they're I don't know. It bugs me that like really incredible television is canceled early and then like crap it goes on for 30 seasons. That just
like Big Bang Theory,
yeah.
right,
But
Maggie?
I still like it.
I like the Big Bang Theory. I don't watch it, but when I do watch it, it's funny. But, and I get that it's a business, but like release the viewership ratings. Tell me that it is terrible. Like tell me that no one's watching it, and I'll feel
Yeah,
better about it. Because right now you have basically a situation where all Netflix fans are like, so I mean, did you just because you guys yourselves raved about this movie? Are you just arbitrarily canceling stuff to change things up? How are you going to pull in new viewers to your new shows if they have no way of knowing when they're going to get canceled?
yeah. Like
Like
for
I don't.
me, as someone who hasn't seen Sense8 before, I literally have no reason to watch it anymore.
Right.
It was something that was on my radar, but the fact I know that it's canceled after its second season and ends,
On a
which is it
cliffhanger.
would, yeah, on a cliffhanger, I'd be like, no, I'm definitely not subjecting myself to that. So I
Yeah.
have no reason to watch it, and that news is going to get around, and so does Netflix just keep season 1 and 2 of Sense8 just kind of there and allows like, oh, Netflix originals, or do they eventually just even take it off Netflix to where you
See,
don't
that's
watch
what
it anymore?
I don't know because like a lot of shows go to Netflix after they die.
Who watches
um,
The Watchmen?
right? So like what happens to a canceled Netflix show? Like these are the first that we've experienced, and so we don't know. Do they go somewhere else? Do they get made into DVDs so that you can like will they sell them on the Google Play Store or something so you can have your own copies if they decide to get rid of them? There's a whole lot of questions that people don't know the answer to. And I actually, if you have any interest in it, I would actually still recommend watching it, even though you are kind of getting cut off by a cliffhanger at the end. The second season is still top 5 seasons of television I've ever seen. It's really really good, really fun, really engaging, really emotional. You should watch the 2 seasons, um, and then just make up what I did. I've made up my own temporary headcanon for how it ends, just to kind of
It's
make
always a good
myself
way to do it.
feel better. Um, but it's so good. Like I hope they make a movie for it at least, or maybe there's some rumors that USA is looking at it, maybe, and maybe they'll pick it up. Anyway, I'm talking
Oh
about
yeah.
enough. I'm talking about this enough. We need to move on to something else.
Well, it's a really good topic to talk about, and unfortunately, there's just a lot of questions we don't know the answers for, and maybe Netflix will just be crazy like Netflix is because it's a totally different format, and just like 2 years from now, I'll be like, oh yeah, we're bringing it back for a third season. Why not? You just
Right.
never know.
And
So
will they be able to get the actors back? Yeah, I think it's a bad business decision. I think they're shooting themselves in the foot. But whatever.
time will tell.
Time will tell.
The only last piece of news we have is we'll just briefly touch on is that a Gears of War movie is moving forward and has a new screenwriter. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but Shane Salerno,
I think so.
I think it is. So I think it's only one of 2 video game movies that I'm aware of right now, just it and the Uncharted movie. There's also talk of the Resident Evil reboot. But I don't know what to expect out of a Gears of War movie. The storyline of those games have never been anything greater than average, I guess I would say. That's someone who's played all the games and loves all the games, but I don't know. I don't really find myself latching on to the characters like Marcus Phoenix very much. So
It was funny. One of the YouTuber movie critics that I watch, she was talking about the news about it and telling what the story of the game franchise is, and she's like, I feel like I've seen this movie. This sounds very similar to Edge of Tomorrow.
it's true.
So I'd be interested to see like what part of the game franchise they focus on. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see.
What do you think, Maggie? Have you played Gears of War?
I haven't played it. I've seen Ryan play a little bit of it when we were at Comic-Con. It looks like a fun game. I'm not sure how that will translate into a movie from the brief little bit that I saw, but it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think the story that they tell, as I've played the first 2 or 3, I think it would make a fun action movie. I mean,
I think it's the only thing it can be. Hopefully, they don't try to do anything else.
Well, no, man, that's what that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not going to be anything cerebral, but I think it'll be, a fun popcorn action movie with some. It's got some cool twists. It's got a cool post-apocalyptic storyline.
That's with the chainsaw gun, right?
Yep.
Yes. There's some really cool moments that I was playing through, and I remember playing through the levels and thinking like, this would make a really cool movie scene. So hopefully, someone there knows how to translate that better than Assassin's Creed did.
Maybe one of the movie execs has actually played the game before.
I would hope so.
Well, speaking of playing stuff, Trent, what you been playing lately?
A lot of Stellaris and a lot of Fallout 4.
Still.
That's
okay.
I'm playing a fun new build in Fallout where I'm like a sneaky silenced pistol wielder person, which is fun. I was playing without mods to get achievements, and then I realized that I like the mods more than I care about the achievements. So I have all my mods back on again.
So I never really knew you cared about achievements. I mean, I really did when I was hardcore into Xbox and really worked on my Xbox, gamer score. But any other achievements, even including Steam now, that I'm a PC game, I'm just like, I don't care.
I'm not a huge I mean, it's a bar to fill, and they give you those cards also, which I think are cool. But I don't know. It was a reason to go back and play a game that I wanted to play with all the DLC.
That's true.
And so I don't know. I might still. I can't decide. Some of the mods are just so. They make the game so much better.
Well, that's part of the Bethesda game.
Yes. So, but yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with that, and Stellaris is still great. I play it when I'm watching my shows. So I have yet to make it past like I would say mid game before getting destroyed because I always play like warlike people for the most part, and then the rest of the universe bands together and destroys me. So
I would probably really, really suck at that type of game. So you could play enough for the both of us too, I'm sure.
It's very fun. What are you guys playing?
Maggie, I understand you're still playing Mass Effect Andromeda?
Yeah, I'm kind of behind on that. I don't get to play very often, but here and there I kind of pick it up and play a little chunk. But I just finished Kadara story, so
Nice.
been on from there.
Who'd you side with?
I totally Reyes. That's his name.
Nice.
Yeah.
You didn't kiss him once.
Nice.
I didn't kiss him. No, I haven't romanced anybody yet. But I like him.
He's
I was
got a
kind
really
of
good.
upset with his dick move, but I still like
Yeah,
him.
I like him a lot too. I kind of wish I'd romanced him instead of Gil.
Yeah. I love Gil. Gil's my favorite.
I like Gil a lot. I just think his story is boring as hell.
Yeah, and his facial hair is a little out of control.
A little weird.
But I love him. I love him.
I think just because we have this unique opportunity, I think you guys need to geek out about Caden together for a few minutes.
I love
Yes.
Caden.
Caden is the best. I've met one of the few celebrity signatures that I have is my Mass Effect 3 copy is signed by the voice actor of Caden.
That's awesome. I think Ryan took great joy in bursting my bubble after I played Mass Effect and was swooning over Caden. He's like, and look, here's his voice actor. And I went, oh.
From Once Upon a Time.
Yep, and he's from Once Upon a Time, but I still love him. I love
That's
Caden.
okay. Have you seen the Instagram of the body model for Caden?
No, I follow the one for Samara, and she's friends with him.
Nice.
But I should look up the body model. She said he's a very nice guy.
If you're ever feeling sad about the way that Jiminy Cricket looks, you should go check that out because you will be not sad anymore.
I will not be sad anymore.
Well, I actually met the body model and got a picture with him at Comic-Con, so I gave that to Maggie. Like, here's your two boyfriends in one picture.
Yeah, because
Wonderful.
he cosplays as Caden and goes to cons, which I think is super cool. I love it
Yeah.
when those kind of guys do that. And Samara does the same thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, it's super cool.
So what's your take on Andromeda as a whole so far?
I like it. There are some little things like, I mean, I don't know if you can call it nostalgia yet because the games aren't that old, but just like some of the Turians, the way they look, like they don't have the facial markings. Like most of them have blank faces, and in the originals they all have their different markings, and just the way some of the Krogan look and stuff. So there's those little things, but I enjoy the story. Sarah Ryder has some weird facial expressions that are fun to kind of laugh at and cringe at her weird smiles and stuff, but I still enjoy it. I still love the game.
What do you think of because we all played Male Rider, I'm pretty sure. What did you think of her, the voice actress?
She's okay. She's definitely not FemShep.
Oh,
but
yeah. No
yeah,
one's
I don't know
FemShep.
yeah, I don't know if anyone can compare to her. But yeah, there's a couple times like some of the stuff she says, I'm just like, that didn't quite fit like where you were trying to go with that. But it's not too bad.
Good. I'm glad you're having fun.
Well, I didn't get to play much this week since I was mostly binge watching House of Cards for the most part. But I did download and try Friday the 13th to TJ's recommendation. And I already had a long conversation with TJ about this, so I don't feel bad talking about it. But I really didn't enjoy it very much. So that was one moment where I was thankful for the Steam refunds because I just went ahead and did that. I played it for about an hour and a half. I'm like, yeah, I've had my fill of this game and I'm kind of done. So it wasn't terrible, but it just seemed like a less good Evolve, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Except it's 8-on-1 versus 4-on-1. I don't know. Evolve, like, I know it gets a lot of hate, but I really, really loved it for what it was.
Yeah, what I played was super fun.
And so this one just felt very, very loyal to the movies. And as someone who enjoys those movies, I could appreciate it for that sense. But I just found myself not having a lot of fun with it, except for the one match where I was playing as Jason. But I was still a little frustrated because they throw you in, and besides a little slideshow tutorial you can kind of view in the options menu of like what to do, like I'm like, okay, I have no idea like what my attacks do. What does pushing one do? Okay, it does that. And so I'm trying to figure it out, and about half the camp counselors escaped because of that. I was like, okay, I'm sure. I guess I'll do this, and so it's kind of figuring out. I'm sure that would get better, over time. But yeah, it was just a very okay game in my opinion. I could see myself picking it up again for real when it's on sale for like $10-15, but I just felt that 40 was just too steep for it at the moment.
Yeah, it doesn't seem polished yet.
Definitely not.
I don't like games that, hey, we're released. I'm like, well, I mean, kind of.
That's why you just beat Ark and just say like, oh, we're never releasing, and that you could get away with having crappy graphics all the time.
Well, Ark doesn't have crappy graphics. Ark has crappy bugs and game-breaking issues.
That might have gotten better. Back when I played it, had crappy graphics.
Uh, Did you have a crappy computer
Nope.
at the time? Are you
Nope.
sure?
Yep.
Okay. Because even like at the very beginning, it was really horribly optimized, and so even running it on a really good computer, you can only run like medium graphics or so.
Yeah, I think I had a 970 at the time when we were playing, and it was still like
Huh.
I had it on medium, and I still wouldn't ever get 30 frames probably.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot better in that regard. They're
I'm sure it has.
they're not fixing some of their main things, like in multiplayer, your dinosaurs will just disappear and
Yeah.
never come back.
Remember you and Ross going off about that weeks ago. So.
That's right. So anyway, good stuff.
But yeah, so like I said, besides that, I was just pretty much watching House of Cards. So I binge watched the whole season in like 3 days.
How was it?
Okay.
Really?
I mean, I know it sounds bad to say, but it's probably the second worst season, so to speak.
The
With
trailer
season,
looks so good though.
it was.
Is third the worst season for you?
Yes, by far.
Okay.
Third was just kind of terrible overall, and this one wasn't bad. Which I say, it sounds bad when I say it's the second worst, but it just doesn't reach the heights of especially the first 2 seasons, and then last season was also really, really, really good. There's an election going on this season, and I felt that the election just went on a little bit too long, and even that, the election was probably the best part. The whole end of the whole maybe last third of the season just wasn't super enjoyable. And there's several characters to where like they really felt the need to focus on the characters, but even like going to Reddit to the episode discussions, like people hated certain characters and they're like, oh, like even I'd like when the character would come on screen, I'd be like, I just like check out and just like get on my phone like until the scene was done because I'm like, I don't care, I don't want to see this character, I hate this character, I don't want to have anything to do with this character, so to speak. And then I don't think this is really a spoiler, but the show's strongest is when Frank and Claire Underwood are working together and dominating all their foes together. And I feel the show has to insert times to where they're bickering or they're fighting over the dumbest little things for no reason to create contention and to stop their powerhouse. And I feel that was probably the biggest weakness of season 3 because that was a big part of season 3, and that kind of comes back again this season. And so I'm just like, we've been through this already. You know, I don't want to watch them fight anymore. And so that was frustrating. So, but outside of that, it was a generally a good season, I would say overall. Just it didn't reach the highs of 1, 2, and 4 for me.
Nice. Makes me excited to go watch season 4.
Yeah, season 4 is great, and again, season 5 is pretty good too. Just not as good.
Yeah.
Besides that, the only thing I've watched, I did finish watching the entire playthrough of Injustice 2. Thought it was pretty good. It was kind of my thought when the trailers for Injustice 2 first coming out. I'm like, well, where are they going to take the story after Injustice 1? And what happened in Injustice 2 kind of just makes me feel that way. It's like, oh, okay, that was another story in the universe, I guess. It definitely wasn't bad, but it was just kind of another telling of Brainiac, invading Earth. But is Superman good or is he bad? Twist thrown into the mix. So glad I watched it, and it was pretty good. But I wouldn't feel sad about missing out on that story in the future. So
I got so confused with him watching that because I went up and saw him watching it, and I was like, "Oh, this movie, like they fight like a video game. That's kind of interesting." He's like, "It is a video game." I was like, "Why aren't you playing it? Why are you just watching it?"
Because I'm a nerd.
Is it available on PC?
Yeah, it's not. No.
Yeah, see, that's why I'm not playing it.
I mean, I have both consoles it's on, so I could rent it, but I definitely don't want to pay $60 for a fighting game, which I don't really enjoy fighting games, and I kind of suck at them just to get the story. When I could just watch the story in 3 hours on YouTube. So.
Put it too much. What have you been watching, Maggie?
We've been watching Better Call Saul, which is awesome. It's such a good show. And then I'm slowly and painfully trying to get through Once Upon a Time.
Painfully? What season
Yes. The last one, the current one. So I loved the first season. Like that
Yeah.
first season was amazing, and it made me fall in love with the show, and it was so, had so many ups and downs and wonderful things. And just since then, it's just gone downhill every season. And just I'm one of those viewers that I'm watching it because I feel like I have to have some sort of loyalty to it. I have to kind of get through it, but at the same time, it's almost like a chore. Like,
Yep.
okay, I gotta watch another episode.
Yeah,
But
I haven't seen any of this season. I was really mad at the finale of last season. And I'll probably get back into it, but it's near the end of my list for things to catch up on this year.
yeah, and I read an article that the girl who plays Emma Swan, I can't remember the actress name, but she's done, like her contract is up and she's not signing another one.
Oh,
So it could be the end. She's like they haven't really made a decision if they're going to keep going, but I mean Emma Swan's the main character, so I can't
yeah.
really see them going on without her. And I'm kind of like, you know what? I'm okay with that. Like it's kind of exhausted its storyline. It's kind of done.
But do you think they've? I don't know enough about where this current story is. I'm worried. I always worry about stuff like that. If when they decide after the show's already done, like to end it.
They pull a castle.
Yeah.
I'm like, is it gonna resolve?
Yeah, I think I'm not done with the current I think I still have like 4 episodes of the season, but they're starting to kind of
Because like
wrap up a few storylines from where I'm at. But
the typical formula for that show is like happily ever after. Oh, just wait, just kidding, and then like there's a little cliffhanger into
there's
the
a
next
new
bit.
bad guy.
Right.
Like Supernatural.
True.
Forgive me for not knowing the names or the characters, but I was listening to a TV show podcast and they had mentioned kind of Once Upon a Time, and I think they said 3 of the 4 main original cast members who are on the show this past season are leaving.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
we will
I'd
only
be
have one
surprised.
original cast member still next season.
You don't remember who it is that
I don't. No, unfortunately
I
not.
didn't see that either, so I don't know.
Because if it's Regina, she could carry a show by herself. But
Yeah, I'm kind of getting sick of her.
yeah, I mean, obviously, I've only watched it up to the end of the last season. But could they just give her happy ending already? Like freaking A.
Never. Never.
I mean, literally, like I feel like this show is actually just like her in hell, and she's just experiencing like the worst things over and over again. She's like, "Oh, we're gonna make her happy for like 10 seconds, and then we're gonna murder her boyfriend." I'm like, freaking A show.
Yeah,
Like I know she was a bad person and all, but like she's saved the world a few times at this point. Like, does she catch a break ever?
I guess we'll find out. We'll
I guess we'll
see.
find out.
I have like 4 more episodes. I'll see what happens.
Uh,
What you been watching, Trent?
let's see. I finished the 100, which was incredible. So I'm really excited about the next season. I'm so excited to see where they go because they did a time jump, um, and the premise of the new season is kind of like a soft reset almost, but with a lot of the same, like a lot of the characters still in play, and so I'm stoked. They could go anywhere, and I'm excited. Um, I'm almost done with White Collar. I finally made myself watch that. I've got 4 episodes left of the series, and it's phenomenal. And I've been watching that in Riverdale, trying to finish up season 1, because the reason they're no longer on Hulu, which really makes me mad, is that they signed a deal with Netflix that like 6 days or something after they finish the show, they show up on Netflix. And so all of the CW shows are on Netflix now from the season. So it makes it really easy to go and watch all of those. So yeah,
That's nice.
those are kind of the 3 I'm watching, aside from my reality shows that are still going. I think Amazing Race is probably finished at this point, but I haven't actually watched the last few episodes. I'll probably binge those this week sometime. And then RuPaul's Drag Race, they're on the final 4 this weekend. So I think there's 2 or 3 episodes probably left of that, including the finale. And yeah, that's kind of what I've been watching.
Have you been watching any of the CW DC verse shows to get caught up?
I will be. That's on my when I finish White Collar and Riverdale, I'm jumping into those at that point.
Now that Maggie's on the show, I kind of want to take a moment just to get her take on the season. um, all the seasons of these shows. So, Maggie, what has been your biggest takeaway from Flash and Supergirl mainly, but then a little bit of Legends of Tomorrow if you want to sprinkle that in too?
And Arrow.
They seem to start out strong, like especially Flash. Like the first few seasons of Flash, I was just, yeah, I love Flash. I love Barry Allen. It was awesome. And now it's just kind of getting to the point where you just sit there and groan. Like you're just watching the episode and just like, oh my gosh. And, I'm okay with Iris dying. Like, come on. Like, she's so annoying. And,
Team Savitar, go.
woo! And then, with like Superwoman or Supergirl, when she fights, this is spoiler if you haven't seen it, but when she okay, I won't say anything.
She fights someone really powerful who theoretically be much stronger than her,
okay,
so to speak.
And then they just play to like the fandom of Supergirl, like, oh, she beat me, and oh, you're just the strongest ever, and all of a sudden it was just kind of like over the top and just like grown, and but again, it's one of those shows like you want to see it through, and you want to sit down and you kind of hope that it will kind of come back to its former glory. But yeah, this last season of those shows have been kind of
I heard that Arrow ended strong.
It did. She doesn't watch Arrow though, so
I don't watch Arrow. It's like a soap opera. It's awful.
It's good stuff.
Well, yeah. So all good shows around. So I think that about wraps up for what we've played and watched. So if you're still with us here, we are about to begin our Wonder Woman spoiler cast. So just a warning that we're going to start talking spoilers for Wonder Woman. If you don't stick with us, be sure to reach out to us on all the social media and all that jazz. But in the meantime, here we are. Wonder Woman spoiler cast. Go. Spoilers ahead. So what did you guys, we always said what we think, but what would you say your favorite parts of the movies were? Trent, will allow you to go first.
There's so many. I don't even like. I mean, the action I loved because I thought like it was, aside from the slow-mo stuff, which we've already discussed, I felt like it was actually really well rationed, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
It wasn't a super action-heavy movie, but the action they had was really fun and really cool.
Definitely.
I think like the battle on the beach was incredible, if a little bit too short.
See, the Battle of the Beach is probably my least favorite part of the movie because I mean, again, like that was when I was like, okay, slow-mo, tone it down. But then also this, I don't know why we even saw like a 2D showing, but it really felt like the CG and like the crappy like, oh, this movie's going to be in 3D. Let's shoot the arrows right at the screen kind of effects were like way too much.
I didn't notice that at all.
Like, I don't know, just there's so much arrow CG and stuff like that. I just like, this is like I was getting worried because I already went in with tempered expectations. But I was like, oh boy, okay, movie, come on, like don't do this to me, DC. So
yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to poop all over your loving of the first scene.
No, you're good.
But for me, I would say her walk up the trench and through no man's land was the highlight of the film.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I almost started crying.
Yeah, playing her theme on that guitar riff, which is so good, and finally seeing her in full costume, and then just kind of packed an emotional punch, as she was blocking everything and walking there and be like, no, I am going to save these people no matter what you guys say. And that one moment where she's just getting lit up by machine gun fire, and she just kind of like holds up her shield and is kind of struggling there, and then her team comes in and does good of assisting her.
Yeah.
So just
so good.
The choreography of those fight scenes are just so cool. Like it had to have been so difficult to shoot, and it just looks so amazing.
Yeah, and I've watched some of the behind the scenes featurettes already that they put on YouTube, and apparently like it was freezing that day, and like so everybody else are in these like coats and everything, and Gal Gadot's like running around with like her Wonder Woman costume, and she didn't complain, she didn't say anything about it, she just like killed it. Apparently it was
Chris Pine was like, she is Wonder Woman, she's just so pure and so happy all the time.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing. The two things that like really stuck out to me in terms of her performance was the ice cream
I was so happy then in that moment.
scene.
That is a big call out to a classic Wonder Woman moment, and I
Oh,
was so
really?
happy they
Awesome.
included it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's always been a thing to where she tries like a random vendor's ice cream, and then she thinks it's like the most wonderful thing, and she thinks like that small vendor like invented it.
Oh,
It's kind of always been a Wonder Woman shtick, so to
You
speak.
should be very proud.
you
So
should
when
be
they
very.
included that, I was geeking out hardcore that they had that as a moment, and I was so
But it's
happy
like,
that they did that.
and she totally just like sold the innocence of it. Like it was totally believable. And like
Yeah.
the thing was like when she sees the baby in London, and she just like melts. She's like, "Oh, a baby," and I'm like, "Oh!" Like she literally like I could not picture anyone else now as Wonder Woman other than her.
I'm
She
glad
nailed
she really
it.
nailed it.
Her.
Yeah, because I wasn't say I was worried because anytime a controversial casting decision is made, I always like give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, okay, like the casting directors know what they're doing. Like
Yeah.
people were complaining about Ben Affleck as Batman and Anne Hathaway as Catwoman, back in the days. And so, my only complaint was like, well, Gal Gadot's a little small to be Wonder Woman, but I'm sure they could fix that with movie magic. But that was my only
Yeah.
quote unquote
Small
complaint I
muscle
had.
wise or boob wise, Ryan?
No, just in general. I think she's very short and probably muscle wise as well back in the day because the only thing I had
She's
seen her in.
5'10". That's pretty tall for a girl.
Oh,
It's
really?
not my height, but it's pretty tall.
Gotta throw in your humble brag on your height in the podcast.
6 feet. Whoop.
Well, maybe she just seems small because the only movie I'd seen her in was the Fast and Furious movie before that. So
Well, I think like Batman versus Superman kind of took away some of those worries too. Like she was the
Totally.
best part
Oh
of
my
that
gosh.
movie. Like she
Yes.
just killed it in that movie. So coming into this one, I was like, she is Wonder Woman. Like no question.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that third act that people say it pretty much lost it for them.
See, I don't
Which
understand that.
have you heard that too? Am I just
No, I haven't heard anything about that.
okay? It seemed to be the biggest criticism I could see in discussions of the movie. Um,
The only criticisms I've heard is that it's just Superman hating apparently, which I think is also incredibly stupid.
I didn't
Well-
get that at all.
Right? Anyway.
well, people say like it felt like too comic booky, but to me, I'm like, that's what I wanted out of a DC movie.
Yeah.
Like all the DC movies have tried to like distance themselves as far away as they could from their comic origins, whereas Wonder Woman finally embraced it. And so, I mean, the movies didn't hint at all to Ares really being a villain of the movie. Maybe a keen Wonder Woman fan or DC fan would tell that, oh yeah, they're bringing war in World War One, the Great War, and it's horrible, and so Ares is definitely going to be involved. But the trailers didn't, like, not that I saw ever mention Ares. So going into the movie when they started mentioning him, I'm like, oh yes, they're going to have Ares. That makes me so excited. Ares is probably the biggest Wonder Woman villain from the comics, and so
Yeah.
and then
I totally called that Lupin was Ares.
Me too.
I didn't.
There
thankfully.
were really?
No, not for a while. Not until the moment where Wonder Woman was like, "Oh, the general, he's Ares," and I'm like, "Okay, they're definitely saving that for like a reveal twist, so it's definitely not him anymore." So,
Yeah. Well, the thing that kind of bugged me a little bit about it is just that, like, and this is your fault, by the way, is I analyzed it a little bit too much. First off, I knew that they wouldn't have an actor like I wish I knew his name, but like Lupin wouldn't be in this movie for 2 minutes.
yeah,
Like they would just put in some random English guy if he was, I mean, because those first two scenes are not enough to have warranted casting him.
Yep.
Second, they show the general, the German guy using Dr. Poison's like power up stuff a lot, pretty early on. I'm like, Ares wouldn't actually need this.
yeah.
So, like that happened really quickly. So yeah, I kind of called it early, but actually it didn't bother me at all because the reveal was actually still really cool, and like especially the whole like trick of the glass stuff that they do when she like, runs in and then all of a sudden he's on the other side of the glass or like maybe in the glass. I'm not sure exactly what was going on there, but it was really cool cinematography.
I also liked how he had that same mustache back in the day.
Yes, dark with his super muscled CG body.
Yep.
I think I'm not quite to the extent, but I'm one of those people that the third act kind of pulled me out of the movie a little bit. Like I still liked it. I still thought it was awesome, but it kind of just pulled me out a little bit. And I think that was part of it because you have this nerdy Englishman with this, little mustache that all of a sudden is a Greek god and, so threatening, but he's not threatening. And then, I mean, once he got the armor and everything, I was like, okay, we're in this. But yeah, that kind of part, it was cool because it was not expected, but at the same time, it kind of pulled me out just a little bit.
Yeah, I'm really glad that they made the decision they did, because it would have been a little too easy and a little too on the nose to cast like, a really big, like hulking, like either super soldier or general guy to
Yeah.
be Ares. And so for it to be kind of this unassuming, like, behind the scenes mastermind of like, yeah, I feed off of war, but I don't need to like actually be the guy, lighting the spark. Like I'm over here, laying down the fuse. So I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Ares was really well done. I was geeking out when he finally got his armor because, again,
Oh.
like part of me was like, I was like, okay, like I still don't know if DC has the balls, so to speak, to give him his full armor, kind of thing. And he didn't have it for a while, fighting Wonder Woman, and then he finally got it, and I was like, yes. So
Yeah. Did you guys call the God Killer thing that it was her and not the sword?
Well, they were kind of setting up for it, like her mom being like, don't tell her who she really is and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Like, so they kind of set up for it. So it wasn't surprising when the sword kind of smashed to bits because you're like, yeah, she's special. You knew she was special in some way.
Yeah.
Besides the fact that she was Wonder Woman, but
she's super special.
I thought that was pretty cool, and I like that they intimated that she is as powerful or more powerful than the gods, or at least than Ares anyway.
Yeah.
That was interesting. I was not expecting her power level to be that high, but maybe it's just because I don't know Wonder Woman as well as I should.
Wonder Woman can be very, very powerful. Nearly as powerful as Superman. In that Batman movie or a Justice League movie, I mentioned, I think it's called Doom a few podcasts ago. It's the one where a Flash villain gets a hold of Batman's contingency plans to take out all the Justice League if they were to go bad, and unleashes it on all the Justice League at the same time. And Wonder Woman's is she gets put into an illusion to where she's fighting Cheetah, one of her villains, but it's just an illusion, and the only way Wonder Woman could possibly be stopped is if you just give her the will and drive to fight, and she just won't stop fighting no matter how beaten down she gets or how much of her energy she uses fighting. She'll just, the only way to take her out, or at least Batman's contingency plan to take her out, is just to make her keep fighting until her heart explodes.
Wow.
Because that's just kind of shows you like how powerful or how much the will she has to keep fighting and keep going no matter what.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so she's pretty bamf.
Yeah.
So what does this mean going forward for DC? Do you guys think? Does this mean DC now has a clear picture of like, okay, this is what it takes to make a good DC movie. Now just do this for everyone else, so to speak. Or do you think that they're not going to quite learn the lesson, or that they will for Wonder Woman, keep Wonder Woman going forward, but then the next I don't know, standalone Superman movie is just going to be like Man of Steel level all over again?
What do you think, Maggie?
well, hopefully they learn from it. I think part of it is because like I think Wonder Woman did so well because it's different. Kind of like Deadpool, they went with the rated R and everyone loved it because it was different. And now Wonder Woman, it's different and they really had to prove themselves. So hopefully they can kind of ride off that high and put that into the Justice League because I'm rooting for them even though the other movies were awful. But this one makes me excited for DC again.
I'm a little worried because so much of Justice League was already done by this point, and so like I don't know how much leeway they have to learn anything from it beyond Justice League. See, I don't know if the Wonder Woman treatment is even the answer for Batman or Superman. I think there's definitely a lot of lessons to be learned from it, But I mean, one of the reasons it works so well for Wonder Woman to be so different is because she has just kind of like that pure kind of like wonder, no pun intended,
But boom.
like of like about the world, and like she has this, unmarred at the beginning anyway, like, faith in humanity and, mankind and everything. And like Superman is super jaded, and Superman's not supposed to be super jaded. But I don't know how, after the events of Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, like how do you make him happy-go-lucky, faith in humankind again?
I have a couple things I could add. Rather than just making the rest of the movies like Wonder Woman, there's just other lessons they could take from Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was a very funny movie in several moments. For me, the funniest part was the bath scene with Chris Pine.
He did so good in that.
Yeah,
Like
so
even just like the little character acting when he's like moving his foot around in the glowing water.
yeah.
Oh, so funny.
But like the only comedic moment I can remember from Batman v Superman is like that moment when Wonder Woman shows up, and Batman's like, "Oh, I thought she was with you." It's like ha 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 ha, because it's not funny,
Right.
And so
And then
like
Jesse Eisenberg trying to be funny as Lex Luthor and failing hardcore.
yeah, so
bad.
So I think if they could have better comedy, more lightness in it, that would help.
Yeah.
And then I think another lesson they could get from Wonder Woman is to embrace your comic origins. Jared Leto's Joker is not embracing the origins in comic Joker. That is an abomination to all things Joker, in my opinion.
I still haven't seen Suicide Squad.
You're not
terrible.
missing much.
It's terrible.
I know. I'll watch it someday, like when I'm drunk or something.
But so I think they could take that going forward, and they could make a lot of better movies. I don't know how they're going to fix some things that are just bad in their movies, like Jesse Eisenberg Lex Luthor and Jared Leto Joker. Those are just elements that I don't think can be fixed. The only way they could fix them is if they kind of rewrite them. Like, for example, make Jared Leto Joker an old Robin that the original Joker transformed into the Joker. That's been done before.
Make him Jason Todd.
Exactly. Or Tim Drake.
Yeah.
Tim Drake became the Joker once.
Nice.
Or Jason Todd is also a good fit, obviously, for obvious reasons. But then, and also, like at one point, Lex Luthor, someone calls him something, I forget, in Batman v Superman. He's like, "No, Alexander Luthor's my father," and just kind of saying, using that statement, being like, "Oh no, don't call me Mister So and So, just call me Ed," kind of phrasing that people have sometimes. And so I think it was meant to be that, but they could totally play that off as Jesse Eisenberg is the real Lex Luthor's son, and have the real Lex Luthor show up at some point. So,
with the real Lex Luthor, please stand up.
Yep. So
Weren't they looking at Bryan Cranston for Luthor? I can't remember.
That was their original want, was to make Bryan Cranston Lex Luthor.
If they pulled that little twist and actually made Jesse Eisenberg Bryan Cranston's son, and then they had like those two as the villain of the show, I'd buy it.
Yeah.
Because I think Bryan Cranston's like darkness would ground it a little bit.
Mm-hmm. So they have the potential to get out of these terrible decisions they've made, and I hope they do it, or else we're stuck with Jared Leto as the Joker throughout the rest of this DCEU until they reboot it. So,
yep.
So, hopefully they learned the good lessons from Wonder Woman, and even though you said it's still late, Justice League I don't think comes out until that fall section that we were talking about. And
oh yeah, I mean there's still time with reshoots and everything, but
yeah, so there's reshoots, and then Joss Whedon now being mostly involved, he has the final say in the editing process.
Yeah, but the problem is that I don't know. I mean, like, how do you change something now, especially now? Because I mean, you're gonna want to not change anything because the guy had to leave because of a family tragedy. You'd want to keep it as much to his vision as possible, even if you disagreed with it.
And I think he will, but I mean, from my own experience in the movie industry, when they do takes in a lot of different ways, so they could be interpreted, different ways on the final editing floor. so
That's
to
true.
speak. And so after reshoots and picking those, Joss just may have a better eye for the takes to use that will make the movie better as a whole. Not saying Zack Snyder didn't, Man of Steel and Batman v Superman are evidence against such facts, but I just have more faith in it, knowing that Wonder Woman is out, and hopefully they knew they had gold before this weekend. I'm sure they did, and they already used the process they used in Wonder Woman in Justice League.
Yeah.
And then just Joss Whedon's just kind of the cherry on top there. So I'm optimistic about Justice League at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited about it. I mean, Wonder Woman already made Batman v Superman really good. Well, not really good. It made her that final fight scene really cool.
Yeah.
Because I loved her in it. And so like if I just picture in my mind the Justice League is just Wonder Woman and friends, then I'll be okay.
Wonder Woman and friends. I love it.
One might call them super friends.
That's right.
So what does this mean to you guys for female superheroes and female directors? We talked about how some female directors, had some big hits, but before Wonder Woman, I don't think I could have named a female director off the top of my head. It's probably just because of the old business and it probably hard to break into, and probably a lot of sexism within it. I might be pure conjecture on my part, but I couldn't name any. And so, do you think this opens the door for more opportunities for more female directors?
I mean, it's definitely a huge win. I think. I mean, obviously, she's going to be busy with Wonder Woman 2, but an idea was floated around the other day in this other YouTube channel that I watched that it would be really interesting because one of Patty Jenkins's favorite superhero movies ever is the original Christopher Reeve Superman movie, and she drew a lot of inspiration from that for her Wonder Woman movie. I think it'd be really interesting to see her do the next Man of Steel.
That would make me so happy.
And I think that's the next step. Is I think that a woman needs to do a male-led superhero movie as a director. I think that would be the next big milestone.
Definitely. Maggie, do you have anything to add?
I think it's just awesome to see, female roles become bigger and bigger, like Star Wars, Rey, and in Game of Thrones, all these strong lead female characters, and now with Wonder Woman. So it's amazing to see. My one complaint though, after we came out of the movie, was she's still in high heels. I'm like, that is not practical. I know she wears them in the comics, but I was like, oh, we need to get past those high heels. Like, Captain Phasma, finally had the armor without the boob cups in it. So now we gotta get rid of those heels because I don't think I could fight in heels like that. But yeah, it's amazing to see, and it's awesome for girls growing up to have those kind of superheroes to look up to.
Yeah, one of the coolest moments walking out of the theater was just seeing the look on other like women's faces around me, and just total pure joy. And like talking to my sisters about it because they saw an advanced screening a couple days before, and they were just almost literally glowing. Like they were just so happy. And so it just makes me really happy. So
yeah, and when we were at the Star Wars convention, there was a little girl dressed up as Captain Phasma, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Even though she was a bad guy, I'm like, that little girl has someone to, someone badass to look up to, even though she wasn't that badass in the movie. But hopefully the next one.
hopefully
But
she will in this one.
Yeah, it's just so cool to see, these strong female leads for the younger generations.
Yeah, and just to address the little quote unquote misandry claims from some of the reviews that I've read and some of the angry angry men on the internet. It's important to remember that both behind the scenes and in the movie itself, like Wonder Woman, one of Wonder Woman's main focuses is on men and women working together and how powerful that can be. Because as amazing as Patty Jenkins was as the director, the screenplay was written by two men. And so like behind the scenes and then also in front of the camera, like with Chris Pine and his team and then Wonder Woman together, like it. I just think it's just a really good example of, you know, the way things should be. You know, like men and women on the same level working together to accomplish something incredible. It's very inspiring for me.
Very nice. What do you think this means for female superheroes going forward? I mean, we know that Captain Marvel is being made. The Batgirl movie is also being made.
I mean, I think it definitely kicked him up a notch. There's a higher expectation for Captain Marvel, especially. But also, there's a lot of pressure, I think, released now that they know that it's possible to do really well. Um, I think it's funny. Do you guys watch The Daily Show regularly?
Not anymore. Not since Jon Stewart left.
One of his contributors, I forget her name, but she's really funny, and she's like, we'll have actual equality when Wonder Woman doesn't have the kind of pressure that it had this time around. It's like no one walked out of Suicide Squad saying like, well, I guess we're done with male superhero movies for a while. So I can't wait for the day that we don't have to ask these questions, but I think it does bode very well for like Gotham City Sirens. I think is a movie that they're planning on making as well, which is like what is her name? Harley Quinn, Poison Ivy, Catwoman movie that's being pitched right now. Um, Batgirl or Batwoman. Is it Batgirl? I can't even remember.
Well, there's a Batgirl and a Batwoman, so
Oh, well, there you go. Both. But yeah, I'm super excited for Captain Marvel. I think that's one that is on my radar.
well, I love the character Captain Marvel, so
Yeah,
seeing her getting her own movie and joining an Avengers world, it gets me very excited for the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole.
me too.
Well, I think with Joss Whedon stepping in, like he's all about strong female characters. So I think he's going to help kind of push that forward as well, because he's had interviews where people are like, oh, why are you so focused on strong female characters? He goes, because you have to ask me that question.
Right.
So I think he'll help kind of push that along with the female superheroes too.
True that. And he's being definitely roped into kind of the Warner Brothers DC family, so I would not be surprised. Oh, he's doing the Batgirl movie, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's exciting. There's a lot of good stuff coming.
It's a good time to be a
So,
comic book fan.
it is. Kind of leads me to a more general question to kind of end with. Are you guys feeling superhero fatigue yet?
I think
Not
I
yet.
was around the time of Doctor Strange last year because I thought Doctor Strange was just okay. And so I kind of thought to myself, it just felt very like this is the basic Marvel formula. that kind of movie to me. He's like, just insert a charismatic main character, put some witty comments in there, and throw a villain at him, and coming of to his power story, and you got a Marvel formula. And so at that point, I was like, "Ooh, is this me finally hitting the fatigue?" But then, with the 1-2 punch of Guardians 2 and Wonder Woman, no, definitely not yet. Come talk to me after Avengers 4 and the Infinity War story is wrapped up, and we'll see how that goes.
Well, for me, like I'm not big into the comics, so I'm learning these stories for the first time. Obviously I know the
True.
characters, I know Wonder Woman and I know all that, but like Guardians of the Galaxy, I had never even heard of them before, so to see all these movies, it's still pretty fresh to me because I'm just learning these stories for the first time. So I'm not even close.
Yeah, I think as long as they keep finding a way to be original and keep switching up who the focus is, I think that is going to be a big part of the key to going forward and having successful movies. Yeah, Doctor Strange was a little bit too much like Iron Man. And I think that was one of the reasons it didn't do as well. Because this is the same guy with magic. Like, cool.
You didn't really like Ant-Man either.
I did not. I mean, I didn't hate it.
I liked Ant-Man.
It's my least favorite Marvel movie. No, I don't know. Thor 1 might be my least favorite Marvel movie.
Even over Iron Man 2 and 3 and Incredible Hulk.
Thor 2. I meant like in terms of like first off. not
Gotcha.
including sequels. But
because you include both Thor movies if that's the case.
right, yeah, Thor 2 is worse than Thor 1, and Iron Man 3 is maybe the worst of all of them. But
You thought 2 was better than 3?
yeah,
2 is pretty bad.
it is really bad. But the fake Mandarin and glowing people and Gwyneth Paltrow with superpowers is worse.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
It's cool.
it's super cool. I mean, I watched all of them, and I had a good time watching all of them. But just if you want to compare them, that's where they land for me.
Yeah, that's fine. I still think 2 is worse, but 3 is not great either, so I'm not going to argue on its behalf. So.
Cool. We are coming up on 2 hours almost, so we should probably wrap this up.
That probably sounds like a good idea if we have any listeners left at this point.
Right? Thank you, all 2 of you, for sticking with us to the end. Or 3, maybe 4.
We see you.
We'll be optimistic.
Through your earbuds. You need to clean out your ears, by the way.
Ew. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Brief Nerdity podcast. If you could take a moment, go to iTunes, search for Brief Nerdity, leave us a comment and a rating if you enjoy the show. Or if you don't enjoy the show, any rating helps us get on the map. And as always, send us an email at briefnerdity@gmail.com. Briefnerdity.com is our website. Hit us up on Facebook and Twitter. Let us know what you want us to talk about. Let us know your opinion on these things. Do you think Wonder Woman is the best movie ever? Let us know. Huge thanks to Maggie for joining us for the first time.
Woo! I did it.
We did it. And yeah, we'll see you again next week.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.